There's a huge buy signal forming on the weekly Bitcoin chart. In the next 5 days, we may see a 4 and 9 moving average golden cross, which has historically been an awesome buying signal for Bitcoin. We're going to go into some crypto news that may have caused the pump, and then let's chart some Bitcoin up. Let's get right into today's video. For checking out the channel. Every day we put out a new video about cryptocurrency education, markets, giveaways, and more. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any content. Now, let's go to the moon. Everybody thinks we're seeing a Canadian pump because of what's happening in Canada and its complete craziness. So Trudeau enacts Emergency Act and crypto is included. We have a huge protest going on against vaccine mandates right now. Downtown Ottawa, I'm minutes away from there. If you haven't heard, they've shut down the city for about 15 days, just downtown, blocking off major roads with their trucks. So now the government has spoke, and look at this. This is just complete craziness. They take aim at protesters' finances. Speaking alongside Trudeau, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland said banks can immediately freeze or suspend bank accounts without a court order and without fear or civil liability. You can't leave the country. You can't go to restaurants, gyms, or anywhere without a Vax Pass. And now if you voice your opinion, if you stand up for what you believe, you can lose your corporate, your livelihood, your business accounts, all your money. Like, this is crazy. What, do they just want you to not have an opinion, not stand up for your rights, and just like bend over? This is crazy. If you don't have Bitcoin, you need to start buying some. It's the only asset that is unconfiscatable. And I'm hoping Canadians are realizing this, because the funds for the truckers, they got seized at all the launch pads. I'm using launch pads at all the fundraiser websites that they're, raising funds in. They've all been frozen. They've turned to Bitcoin, and they raised $1 million plus in Bitcoin. And I think people are now seeing like what you can really do with Bitcoin. It's opening people's eyes. It removes that government, that third party, and it's unconfiscatable. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Bitcoin's so much more, and I think people are really getting to see that now. This is a comment from the El Salvador president, also clowning on Canada. We're the laughingstock of the world. Are these people who like to give lessons to other countries about democracy and freedom? This is one of the top-ranking countries in the democracy index. Your credibility on these topics is now worth zero. You can watch this on his Twitter, but we won't go into that now. Let's switch over to some bullish news. And Warren Buffett invests $1 billion in Bitcoin-friendly neobank, dumps Visa and MasterCard stocks. He was pretty bearish on cryptocurrencies, but I'm a big believer on put your money where your mouth is, and I think he's shown that. I'm not sure if we'll hear it from him directly, but this is a good start. Let's move over to JP Morgan buying their first piece of land in the metaverse. In Decentraland, they've opened up a lounge and they're looking for business opportunities. It's funny because they were one of the biggest and loudest people in 2017 claiming cryptos is a scam and everything about it was a scam. And it's good to see that they've dropped their ego and they've quickly changed and actually dove into the metaverse. They're the first bank to do so, and I think they definitely don't want to miss out. So let's get into Bitcoin's weekly buy signal that is forming right now. That is the 4 and 9 EMA. You can add your moving averages on TradingView right here through indicators and add the 4 and 9. We're on the weekly. So these signals come less, but they are a lot stronger. So the last cross we had right here was about $35,000 and price ended up going to 69. So about double if you bought on the cross. You also had a nice exit at about $58,000. If we look at the previous 4 and 9 buy signal, this would have been an awesome buy signal right after the COVID crash at about 7,300, and it gave you an exit at $51,000. Yes, this one was a bit smaller. Yes, we might get whipsaws, and that means we might get in, and it might be a false signal, but it'll show us that exit signal, so we might only lose a few percents at most, but this is an awesome buying opportunity, and we need to wait the rest of the 5 days days for this candle to close and for us to see the next part of the moving averages. So if we remove price and just look at moving averages, you can see it's a lot clearer to trade like this, honestly. You don't even need to look at the price. So we have these about to move to the upside. The blue is going to cross the purple. That'll give us the golden cross. We have the moving averages slightly pointing up as well. It's a lagging trend identifier. So if they're slightly pointing up, we can see that there's a small uptrend. And also, if you start looking at smaller time frames, you can see that we've had the cross earlier. You could have got earlier using smaller time frames. But now, if this does keep moving to the upside, I am a little bit more convinced that we can move to 52K. That's kind of my next target, and I'll show you. Let me delete all this and we'll start fresh. So let's take a look at what we need to do to get this weekly cross. So we have this downtrend right here. We have the previous lower high right here. We're literally right at resistance. We're trying to break above this. We've broken this long downtrend from making lower lows and lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low. And now we've broken this trend line. You can see here we got the 4 and 9 a lot earlier at about 37K on the daily. We're waiting to get that buy signal on the weekly, and you can see on the 4 hour, you'll see a lot more of them. So you can see that, and this is what I mean by a whipsaw. You get in maybe here and you get out. You get in, then you get out, you get in, you get out, and then you get in. Yes, on smaller time frames, you're seeing more of these buy signals. That's what I mean. On larger time frames, you're seeing less noise and more for sure signals. So if we get that buy on the weekly, then I'm a little bit more confident that price will work its way up. So if you focus on larger time frames when you're starting out, you really need to be patient, but it does pay off. So right here, I'm looking at this next area, and it was the 52K right here, and it lines up with the next high right here that we made. So if we break this resistance, I'm actually looking at the 52K area. I had the 50,000 area as like a strong psychological number, 50K, a nice huge round number, but I'm looking more at 52K. I think if we get there as well, I think people will generally be bullish. And then we can start looking at like a larger dead cat bounce in play to see if it was all just some fake, just some like relief bounce that we really needed. Because once we do get this crossover in the next 5 days, I think the price will pump with it, just as we've seen every other time. There hasn't been, and just to note out as well, we will be regaining the 200 EMA on the weekly, moving out on the weekly time frame, which I think is large as well. So you need to be watching this closely over the next few days to see how the weekly closes and if the 4 and 9 do give us a golden crossover, because I will be entering. I just wanted to share that signal with you guys. We are at resistance right now. I like how Bitcoin is just, the bulls are picking it up right here. I thought this was bad. We might break down here. We got rejected, but we are retesting it now. The weekly's looking good. The daily's looking good. And all the smaller time frames are kind of turning into a bullish and into an uptrend, which we are now hoping that it just can keep continuing, honestly. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I just wanted to share the weekly signal I'm looking for. And if I remove everything, you can see that this EMA combination works for a lot of altcoins as well. And I love using it against alt BTC coins, where I can just turn my Bitcoin into more Bitcoin using a strategy like this. So once again, we're waiting for the 4 and 9 moving averages to cross to give us a golden cross and to give us a nice buy signal. So if we look at Bitcoin's history, you can just see some of these crosses are really awesome. And if you get one like right here, and it's not too long of an uptrend, you can sometimes bag 10, 20, 30%. But I mean, here was multiple 100%. Here was about 100%. Depending on where you actually bought and sold it. So these are really safe buy signals. And the way to literally make sure you don't lose as much money as possible is follow them as religiously as possible. If you see a buy, you just buy what you're comfortable investing in. You never know where the market goes, and it might start dumping and you might, panic because you're not familiar with a strategy like this. But if you just follow the buy and sell signals, I think you will do pretty well. Let me know your opinion below. I'm also going to be at the protest on Friday. I'm going to be there live streaming. And that's it for this quick video. I just wanted to show you guys the buy signal I'm seeing on the weekly. Hopefully Bitcoin can hold or even progress in price over the next 5 days so we can for sure get that golden crossover, and then we are looking good. And I think Bitcoin will pump to $52,000, and I'll be watching it closely. So enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.